All right, so welcome to Commissioner Show, episode 4. I'm here with Braeden Lewis of the Arctic Altitude. This past week, we had our pitching tutorial video come out. This is one of our best pitchers in the league. And then also, he really helped out the Altitude this season. So, Braeden, what was your reaction? Or my first question to you will be, what was your reaction when Joey asked you to join the league? I believe it was last off season.
Yeah, it was interesting. I hadn't really heard of wiffle ball like this before, but it seemed interesting. I decided to join. He had been talking about it the season before as well, so got me interested. And then after I joined, I found that there are other leagues like this too,
Yeah.
like
What are
your
some
guys's.
Yeah, what are some of the other leagues you've found?
Uh, well, I know from your guys's tournament, there were a lot of teams there.
Yeah.
I don't remember the names of the other leagues, but all over YouTube, there's other leagues.
Yeah, that's kind of how I started too. I think I found some sort of YouTube video, and then I just went down this loophole. And I should say that this week we had a lot of rebranding. That was kind of the theme this week on our Instagram. So we had the Downtown Diamonds. The main thing was they changed their location or region to Desert Diamonds, updated their logo, and then the Wolves and Panthers also did as well. So back to the interview. How did your first year go? It was an expansion team. You came in with Joey, your brother. All you guys could pitch, and you guys were one of the best teams in the league in your first year ever. So
Yeah, it was definitely fun. Thanks for the invite.
yeah,
And then it was just interesting to come in. My background as a baseball player definitely helped. I feel like I could have hit a little bit better, but I kind of made up for it with my pitching. It was interesting to see just the dynamics of other teams as well, because me and Joey are really close, and coming into the season, we kind of had a plan of all three of us pitching. But then in games, it was interesting to see who pitched on other teams. I feel like mostly most of the teams had just their one pitcher. Like
yeah,
Luke's team had like 6 guys on it just over the season, and Luke pitched majority of the time. It was interesting to see.
yeah. You guys are one of the, I say, the main team that throws multiple pitchers, which honestly we probably will see more this year with the draft and all of that. And I think Luke would like to. Well, I think some people who have been on here, actually, like the fan episode, they said that Luke might want to explore options for a second pitcher. Like you said, he's got a bunch of guys he can develop. And then you also mentioned your baseball background, which is interesting because you see guys who come into the league with a baseball background and struggle, but I say mainly they do pretty well. It just takes some time to adjust, I'd say. So, like, how long did it take, like, to develop your pitches, or like, because I'd say your signature pitch would be slider or curveball. I don't know what
Yeah.
you call it. But like, how long did it take for you to figure out grips and all of that?
So actually, I think me and Joey and my brother, we met up at the park. I think like the day before or day of the spring training game, and we just threw the ball to each other, just tested out different grips, different pitches, stuff like that. And then we really got to try it. Oh, it was a huge shock with some of the pitches people could throw, even at the start of the season. Uh, Especially coming from right now, I'm used to 60, 90 fields. That pitch coming at you from the 40 feet we had or whatever,
Yeah.
that was hard to read right off the bat
Yeah,
or
it's
right off the
crazy.
start.
Yeah. Like, it's crazy because I know wiffle ball leagues, for example, probably the most popular one. They throw from 38 and they throw. I mean, their speed limit says 7. I don't get it. Like, it's crazy. So, also on camera, our league doesn't have much hitting. I would say it's a lot of good pitching, and I mean, when like in the top teams when they play, There's occasionally there's hits, but it's mainly strikeouts and a couple walks, like good at bats. So
Yeah.
and we're not even. I mean, we're throwing hard, and our mound's pretty far back compared to like a normal wiffle ball league or a normal regulation wiffle ball. So I just don't know how people do it. It's crazy. But then for the altitude, we next season you guys have you three and you got pretty good chemistry. Uh, I mean, I guess we could talk about the ALCS and then we can go into next season because you guys played pretty well all season. Like I said, you have three different pitchers, which gives you three different looks. And I felt like I felt like you would start and then Joey would come in later in the series or even the game. And it worked really well. But like when you got to the ALCS and you guys obviously played us, what was like, I mean, I think I played pretty well because we didn't allow much runs. So what was your like weakness in that, I guess? Like what could you improve from that? And going into the off season, like what do you think your guys are going to do?
I think that was the game, actually. I couldn't throw. I think I had pitched.
Might have been.
I think I had pitched for my baseball team.
So that was the one
the day before.
I think Joey started that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we put Jackson in, and it was just a tight moment where I think we needed a little bit more speed than what Jackson can bring. I mean, he's only 11. It's crazy how well he's been doing too.
Yeah. He's honestly, I say this a lot, he's honestly one of the most underrated hitters and just players in general in our league. Like stats wise, he's up there with the best of the best. And then also a lot of people say you're the most underrated player in the league just because people overlook your pitching, which I would completely agree with.
Yeah, I feel like, especially as you were talking about earlier, in a league like this where most of our focus is on the pitching, I think I didn't hit much last season. I think I had maybe 3 or 4 hits on the season. But I think when I was looking at the All-Star voting sheet you gave me, I think I had I know I led our team in strikeouts, and I think I was up there league-wise.
Yeah. I think you were snubbed, right? You missed out.
Yeah, I don't think I was on the ballot, no.
Well, some of that was, we'll say Jackson, your brother, did a lot of voting, I heard, which may have messed some stuff, but we'll see. Anyway, going in the off season and in the next couple of weeks, actually next weekend, we're going to be having a draft combine, and you become more like engaged, I'd say. And with Joey, you guys work. At least Joey tells me sometimes like you guys will work and like on talk about like your management decisions or whatever. So, I mean, you guys have the 3rd pick. The talent's pretty good. Do you guys need anything or trade it? Or you don't have to like say anything, but do you have any, like, what do you think you need? Hitting?
Yeah, I think we could use a little bit of extra hitting, but I don't really know where Joey plans to go this draft. With the draft, I don't know if he plans to trade the pick or use it to take one of the prospects. I haven't talked to him about that yet.
And then, yeah, Joey will be attending likely, I think, the draft combine. So the talent is really good. We played them in the tournament, which you'll see that video coming out very soon. They're pretty good players. And then definitely provide some more hitting, which I think you guys would need. And then the other thing that's good for you is just it's just your 2nd season. So you're only going to get better. Jackson's getting older and stronger. And like, you're just going to get more experienced, which I think helps mostly. I mean, I guess it helps both at the plate and on the mound because, I mean, if you're just going to find out more pitches, figure out how the ball moves, and then at the plate, like develop some strategies. Which pitcher in the league do you think gave you the hardest time? And then which was, I'd say, the easiest. But let's say, like, don't include Zach Koss or someone who's not going to pitch normally. So, like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. One of the most challenging pitchers I faced was Luke Rose. As a lefty, his pitch is nasty no matter who he's throwing it at. But as a lefty, it's so hard to hit that because of its spin.
Yeah. I'm a lefty too. It's just.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Like, it's hard to see on camera sometimes, but that pitch looks like it's going to hit you, and then it's a strike.
Yeah, it's filthy. And then, and I think he pitched the best against you guys, actually, because that was the series. I mean, I've noticed he had the most highlights. There was one at bat, it might have even been against you, where he threw a sinker from that same arm slot and came back with that pitch, and it's just like, it's tough. Like,
yeah,
and like you said, it's hard to see the ball from that distance, even though it's pretty far back. It's just, yeah. Next up, we have a fan question. What is your most likely pitching rotation for the altitude next year? And like, who's going to be the ace? All of that. Obviously, you don't necessarily decide it, but what do you think Joey will go with, or what do you think is the best for your team?
Yeah. So ultimately, that's up to Joey, but I feel like he will talk to me about that. It also depends on who we pick from the draft, but in season right now, Joey's throwing really well for baseball. I think he's picked up his velo a lot. I think he'll be our ace, and then I'll come in with different movement. And then Jackson can also come in with that slower pitch he throws.
Yeah. Jackson's pitching seems to, I think it works. He had a 1 ERA, couple, I think up until the series where you guys played us. He seems to pitch very well, except against my team. I hit him very well. Even in spring training, I think I hit a walk-off home run. I just see him very well. And I may regret saying that because you might not pitch him against me or whatever. But anyway, and then have you added or experimented with any new pitches like to your arsenal, or are there any that you'd like to add that maybe you've seen around the league?
Quite honestly, I haven't gotten around to watching that pitching video yet, but I have seen more of a slower changeup I could throw. I don't know how well it's going to work with the way I throw, because I have a kind of sidearm motion when I throw a wiffle ball. Yeah. But that allows me to throw like my cutter.
I could actually see you in that pitching tutorial. Carson, pitch he doesn't throw much, but we had him like show off kind of a sidearm sinker. It's kind of where you throw from, I'd say. I could see you adding that with the curveball. It's like, it's not sidearm, but it's from the same release spot that you throw from.
Yeah. Well, when you look back at the games, I don't know if it's in there because you cut to the last pitch of each at bat, but I would spike the ball at the start of the season quite a bit. And I was trying to throw a sinker. So I had just taken my riser grip and turned it upside down and tried a sinker. And just from that sidearm slot, it didn't work well.
I think part of it is, at least, so you know the pitch I throw pretty much every time, my screwball.
Yeah, like a screwball, yeah.
So when I don't know if it's just me, but when I throw that, I aim at like the top of that net just because of my motion. So like I spike that as well sometimes, but it might just, you should like experiment like aiming way higher than you think. Maybe you won't spike it, maybe you will, who knows. But I think if you just gotta, it's like way more than you think. And that's why sometimes I get lucky with this, but I'll throw it and it goes like in the dirt or whatever, and I'll get some swings sometimes, but I don't mean for that most of the time.
Yeah, that was definitely a weakness of our team this season. The ball that dropped, we were swinging all day at it.
And it's perfect against you guys because it breaks a little from left to right. From like the pitcher, so it's perfect against a lefty. So, yeah. All right. So you said you watched the World Series, and obviously I felt like those two teams in there were like on another level, if you'd say. Obviously we're playing more wiffle ball, which means you get better and better and better the more you play. And we had played a lot in that time, but did you feel like those two teams, mainly the Cougars, are they beatable next year? And like, how do you think they'll be taken down if they do?
I think it really depends on who Luke keeps on his team and who he doesn't. If he keeps all of his guys, I think if he gets pitching out of at least one or two of them, they'll be a tough team to beat because he could bring in Luke. He could pitch with his nasty pitch. And I don't know if this is actually on camera, but when we played them, one of his I forget the guy's name. One of his teammates though was just pitching for fun in between games.
Oh,
and he was throwing heat.
He's insane. Porter.
He was throwing heat. I was surprised he didn't pitch him. I was actually scared. After I saw that, I turned to Joey and said, I hope he's not pitching.
Yeah. You could see, so we actually made a TikTok on this. He threw to one of the Panthers players, and the Panther guy was terrified. Like, no. But anyway, I've said this. I think Luke's captains or players could all be captains. And then also you brought up a good point in that, like, the Cougars, if they keep everyone and if he can develop some pitching, like, they're going to be tough to beat. But with that, if Luke, what we've noticed so far in this offseason, at least I have, it'll be interesting. We have a tournament upcoming in a couple of weeks. It'll be interesting to see how he performs. In our tournament, he came in Mr. Cool Guy. He hadn't played since the World Series, and he got rocked. So, and he's talking like that. He's going to do that again. Like, he didn't practice in between, all that. So if people in the league can get around to Luke, maybe he doesn't take it as seriously. And he's kind of like, I got my championship. I'm going to have like fun or whatever and just mess around. That could be a problem for him and the Cougars. So I think it's going to be interesting to see if he like refocuses and let's go back to back with everyone, or if he develops some new pitchers, if he's struggling, or just how it's going to go, because they're going to be the hunted this year instead of the hunters like they were last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What really surprised me was mid-season, they kept bringing more guys in. And then every time I would text Joey, I'd be like, hey, let's get them. Like, they're going to keep bringing guys in. Let's do what we can. Let's get on them. But it never worked out. It didn't work out for us when we played them. I'd hoped to face them in the World Series, but we couldn't get there.
Yeah, well, those are Luke's friends, but he's capped out now. That's
yeah.
it. But he also has the 6th pick in the draft, and he doesn't seem interested in adding more. And when you guys played them, you played them pretty competitively, I'd say. It was you guys lost 2-1, but each game I was surprised, if I'm being honest. I was really surprised. You guys played pretty well in that series.
I don't remember. Did we play them earlier or later in the season?
You played them 2nd series, and then that was when Luke seemed like unhittable. He just shut out my team for the whole series. And I think it was Joey and Jackson both got a hit off him and brought in some runs, and you guys ended up winning that game. And it was crazy to see. Pitched really well.
I was really impressed by how we played that game, especially being our 2nd series ever together.
That'll do it for Commissioner Show episode 4. 2 weeks from now, when episode 5 comes out, that should be with 2 to 3 more fans. We're going to have another fan episode as it went really well last time. Thank you guys for watching, and yeah.